Well, it's looking good. The thing turned green.
We are streaming.
Hasn't quite started yet. Okay, now it says live. Hello, everybody, and thanks for joining us. Sorry we got kind of a late start. We had technical difficulties, as always, but I'm here today. I'm Aaron Rutten, if you don't know who I am already, and I'm joined today by my friend and fellow artist, Lawrence Mann. Okay, but now I'm not hearing your audio, though. Oh no, yet another technical difficulty. Yeah, you might have to unplug it and replug it in. We've had the myriad of different computer problems. The sound wasn't working on one of our things, and then I unplugged my my audio card, and then I got the blue screen of death, which I had earlier a few weeks ago, and it caused me to have to reinstall my computer. You're back. You're back now. Yep, I hear you now.
You can hear me now.
I can hear you now.
Good. Help me now.
Yes, we persevered through all of this, and the good thing is that even though I got that same blue screen of death, I could actually boot up my computer because I spent the better part of 3 or 4 days having to reinstall all my programs and try to figure out what was wrong. And I was telling Lawrence earlier, I thought it was my video card, so I ended up buying a brand new video card, which I didn't really need to do because apparently it's my yeah. So there you go.
And it turns out today's technical difficulties are brought to you by Firefox and Google Hangout.
Yeah, that was the first one. We couldn't even do a Hangout because Firefox won't support the plugin. So it was like problem after problem after problem. And it's not like we wait till the last minute either. We met a half hour before we were even supposed to go live, and it literally takes that much time. Just
you're using Google Chrome, and I am using the Demon Safari.
Yeah. So, and I have my screens all rearranged in a different way. So anyways, enough complaining. We're here. We're going to do some drawing requests. I know there's going to be a lot of people who want to request, and so Lawrence and I thought it might be a good time to shamelessly plug the super chat feature. Any super chats that we receive today, we're going to split 50-50, so I'll PayPal Lawrence half of whatever we get. Feel free to chat in and make some requests for drawings. If you want your request to get chosen over everyone else's, hit up that super chat button, and whoever super chats the most will get the most action.
Draw your stuff.
And
the more you super chat, the better the drawing as well.
Yeah, and in the event that there's multiple people super chatting, I don't mind combining things together too into a drawing. So anyhow. But we are going to draw anyway. So I just want to acknowledge everybody here in the comments because we got some familiar faces. Arca's here. What's up, Arca? Charmaine's here. Good to see you, Charmaine. H4X is here. Alex is here. Diana's here. Alex Does Things is here. Good to see y'all. Thanks for watching us today. I've been sick the past 4 or 5 days, so if my voice is a little raspy or I go into a coughing fit or something, you'll know why. I've only slept a couple hours the past few days too because of that, so I got a little bit of coffee here. You may notice that Lawrence's head is very large because he's on his webcam, and mine is kind of small, but that's for a reason because I have my webcam overlaid on top of my camcorder, which is behind me pointed at my screen, so when I draw on my screen you'll actually be able to see what I'm doing, and then I can also grab myself with my hand.
I like the way that you've said my head is very large because, yeah, my head is large because I'm wearing my awesome, cool Lawrence Can Draw hat.
I bet my head is much bigger than yours in real life, so no worries there. Keenan's here. Keenan helped me fix the audio in one of the last live streams. I unplugged and replugged in my audio card, but apparently when I did it today, my computer did not like that, so I'm not going to be doing that because that blue screen of death scared the death out of me.
Yeah. That's something you do not want to see.
Okay, so
This old Mac that I'm using, this 2012 MacBook Pro, is going in the bin very, very shortly. I did save a Mac G4 from the scrapyard recently.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be turning that into a dustbin.
Nice.
Studio. I remember when those came out, they were brand new. I was the first person in my studio to get one of those. I remember how lovely and shiny they were, but somebody I know was about to skip one of those. So I rescued it. I'm going to be doing a YouTube video shortly on my channel showing how to turn those into a lovely looking trash receptacle for your studio, for your room. So
nice.
That's going to come up shortly as part of my new season, getting away from Apple and turning over to Windows.
Nice. I'm glad to hear that. I know there's probably some Mac people out there who will disagree, but I mean, it really...
yeah, I'm going to get a lot of hate for it, but I've got an iPhone, I've got a MacBook Pro here, and I'm going to, within the next few months, all that's going to be gone.
I think to each their own. Like I always look at it like one isn't really better than the other. It's whichever one you're most comfortable using is the best choice. And
yeah, I've used Mac for years, and I'm just tired of it now.
Yeah.
It's just not as good as they used to be. So for me, the advantages of Windows and Android phones just outweigh Apple now. So we'll switch now then. But
hey, there was something about your audio being really low, and I think that was my bad. I think I didn't have the desktop audio. So can you talk a little bit real quick, and we'll see?
My mic is quite close, so I can't really get that up anymore.
No. It's not proximity. I didn't have desktop audio enabled in OBS, so it might not have even. Patty's leaving because the levels were too unfriendly. Well, give it a couple more seconds here. We'll fix that, Patty. As I mentioned earlier, since I had to completely reinstall everything on my computer, I had to do that with OBS. Echo.
Echo.
Okay, well, let's try this.
I have also been told that I was here.
I'm going to try putting on... Okay, do we still have echo? Do we still have echo now? Lawrence is echoing.
Echo. Is it just me echoing?
Well, I put on headphones, so let's see if that...
Hopefully, not anymore.
Keenan says no, but does that mean there's no more echo, or no, it didn't? Okay, it's fine now?
Okay. Thank
okay.
You. Yeah. No more echo. That's good.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. We're cool.
Are audio levels fine now for everybody?
We're cool. No, okay, his volume's still low. Okay, let's turn up your volume a bit more. Let's try it again. Say something, Lawrence.
Something, Lawrence? Is that okay? The sound levels are still screwed, Patty says. I can't turn up the audio on my end, unfortunately.
I turned it up more. Okay, they say it's better now, I think. Too high. It's too high now?
I'm being told to scream.
This is
like nothing. I mean, unless I really shout, and if I do that for a couple of hours, I'm gonna end up in the hospital.
Okay, but are we at least level? Like, are we both about the same volume, or is somebody still louder or too quiet? This is like The Price is Right, kind of. It's like a game show.
It really is. People are saying, no, it's perfect, it's better, it's good now. I take it, Aaron, that you're playing with the audio on your end anyway.
Yeah, I am. It was my fault. I didn't like I said.
Okay, there we go.
I had to completely reset up OBS. So in my mind, I launch OBS and it should be working exactly how it worked when I was live streaming with Lawrence a month or two ago. But in fact, it's not. It's completely.
Hey, Patty's happy.
Woohoo!
Thank you. Right. Okay. Right.
Cool. And then from this point on, it should stay pretty consistent.
Right, yeah.
Unless what's happened in the last couple of live streams is something happens with my sound card, and I start to get crackly and get this like robot voice thing. So we'll see if that happens, because if I have to unplug my sound card again, that's getting into some.
I mean, I can hear you being a little bit crackly,
Yeah.
but that's not a major issue.
Yeah. Am I crackly right now?
No, not right now.
Okay, because I can turn my mic down a bit too.
No, it's fine. Let's go on with the drawing.
Okay. Cool.
Right, going back to what we were saying before, let's throw in, we were talking about sketch on demands.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking about doing, has everybody heard of the super chats?
I don't think they've ever heard of that.
Right, okay, there's something called super chat, which YouTube has now introduced, which is basically you can pay to ask questions, and basically there's a little donate button. What we're going to do is you guys can just suggest things to draw and we will draw them. However, if you would like to throw money at us, we will be your sketching strippers.
He's not kidding. He'll take his shirt off.
Remember we did that one time? No, I'm joking.
That wasn't live.
Yeah, that was a New Year's party. But yeah, if you want to donate, that's absolutely great. You know, the more you donate, the more detailed it'll be, etc., etc. Those who do donate will obviously we'll make sure we draw what you want. You know, just give us some suggestions and we'll start drawing. But yeah, what do you guys want to see?
I'm just going to draw a little doodle here in the meantime. And if you want to...
I'm going to...
Yeah. So we can see your
switch
screen.
Over to my screen share now.
I don't know what this
There
is,
you go.
but...
My screen share now.
Yeah, I see your screen share.
There you go. And I'm going to start drawing too. So I'm going to draw the top of Aaron's head, which is kind of what I can see.
Haas,
And we'll wait for
if you have questions too,
some people to wait for some of you guys to comment in on the chat as to what you guys would like to see.
and feel free to ask questions too. We're happy to answer digital art related questions for free, of course.
Yep.
The super chat's just
You only
for...
have to do the super chat if you really want to, but obviously it would be nice.
Yeah, we're gonna draw.
It's always there.
We're gonna draw stuff anyways. It's just whether or not somebody wants to be able to request something, because I know everybody wants to request something, and obviously we can't draw everybody's requests. So that's kind of a way to make it fair, I think.
Yeah, and it's a way to make sure you get what you want to see drawn.
Haas wants to know if we do graffiti. I don't do graffiti. What about you, Lawrence?
I've done it for commissions, but it's not my natural style. So, ooh, we've had a super chat.
Thank you, Charmaine. So Lawrence,
Thank you very much.
Lawrence and I will be splitting that $10 super chat from Charmaine. So Charmaine, feel free to comment in just with a regular comment and let us know what you'd like either of us to draw. If you want both of us to draw something or one of us to draw it,
Yeah.
we'll make it happen. And thank
Will
you.
indeed.
We appreciate that. And that's actually, I was telling Lawrence earlier because we were talking about super chat. It's kind of a relatively new thing for us, at least.
Yeah. I've watched a couple of videos with like Daryl Eves and some of the YouTube, the guys who give YouTube advice.
Yeah. I've
Where they do it.
I haven't had a chance to really play with it much, but that is our first super chat. So thank you, Charmaine.
Yes, thank you very much. I feel all special now.
So what I'm drawing here, it doesn't really have. It's non-objective art, so I'm just drawing. Something. I guess it ends up. It might end up looking like something. Somebody said earlier it looks like a chick hatching from an egg. Ivan asks, do you have trouble with drivers for Wacom?
I never upgrade straight away when they bring a driver out. I always wait for like a week or so, at least. I'm not even on the most recent driver at the moment, I don't think, to be fair. I mean, there are known driver issues. It's that simple. I'm not going to be one of these guys who are just blind and just go, oh yeah, no, the drivers are perfect. We know there are driver issues. But hardware-wise, these guys are near perfect.
Yeah.
They've made great hardware for decades. And there are bugs. I've never seen the kind of problems that some people have reported. Some people act like there are like major faults with every driver that comes out.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen that many bugs, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, I have to agree. I don't usually upgrade straight away either, and I think if you do, you're kind of guinea pigging yourself, because
I think that's the same with a lot of drivers, though, to be fair.
well, yeah, I mean anything that comes out, doesn't matter who releases it, there's the potential that it's not going to work with every single computer and every single piece of hardware, and there's just so many reasons why something isn't going to work. So it's actually a miracle that stuff even works at all on anybody's computer.
It's like Windows do an insider build version, and I hear of so many great features that has, and so many times I thought to myself, oh, I want to do the insider build stuff.
Yeah.
Because of some of the features, but then it's like, yeah, but that could mess up your machine.
Yeah.
So, do I really want to do it? You could do it on like a secondary device, but maybe not do it on your, primary machine.
Yeah, for sure. Charmaine says, I never know what to ask you all to draw. Surprise me. I'm getting ready to pull out my Intuos Creative Pen and Touch tablet. I need to learn how to trace on it because I can't draw. I have the medium Intuos Creative Pen and Touch. Just received it today by UPS. Awesome. The medium the medium's a good size one. Any smaller than that, and it's really hard to draw. So people always ask me, like, what's a good size, and anything medium.
There is
a
minimum kind of size, I think. I remember when like the first Cintiq I ever got was the 12UX, and that was really Wacom's first delve into the kind of the Cintiq range seriously, was the 12UX.
Yeah.
And it was great. The first time I got hold of that, it was kind of like you could see the potential in it. But it was just too small to use it.
Mm-hmm.
It was just like, this is great, but... And that was the problem.
I'm going to paint a landscape for Charmaine here. Do a happy little mountain here.
Just a happy little mountain. Do you know something? Landscapes are a brilliant place to start. When I was out in LA last week, just some of the views were spectacular.
Yeah.
And faces and things can be amazingly complex to start with, but if you're gonna start somewhere, landscapes are a nice place because you don't feel the pressure necessarily with a landscape that you feel with, you know, you don't feel the pressure on you with a landscape that you do with a face. I don't think. Does that sound about right to you?
Yeah, you can put a tree anywhere you want, and people will look at that landscape and go, hey, I recognize that place. I'm quoting Bob Ross directly here, but if you mess up a detail on someone's face, that's going to stand out. Especially if it's a character that somebody knows really well, a celebrity or something. If your portrait's not spot on, then people are going to say, the eyes are shapen funny, or the person's nose is too big or too small compared to how they look in real life. Whereas a mountain can be any shape or size, unless you're specifically trying to draw Mount Fuji or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Larry wants to know what kind of tablet we're using. We're both using the same tablet, which is the Wacom Cintiq 27 QHD Touch.
Which for the moment is their flagship tablet.
Yeah,
Don't know how much longer that's going to last.
Yeah, it's very soon.
Might only be the flagship for next 6 months if you're lucky.
Yeah, there's a lot of competition coming out.
Not just that, but also Wacom themselves. When are they going to be releasing something new?
Yeah. I have my camcorder hooked up through an Elgato, so I'm able to get a better quality picture of my hand drawing here, but it seems to be overly bright, so I'm going to adjust
I do have down here, I also have the Wacom Mobile Studio 16.
Nice.
Which is kind of my favorite mobile device at the moment.
Yeah, I can't imagine it gets better than that.
I never had any of the other mobile Wacoms. I know you had the companions, didn't you?
Yeah, I have the companion too.
And I never went for any of those. I was on the Surface range at the time, which I still love. But when I saw the Mobile Studio, it was like, yeah, I'm getting that. You know what? It's time to bring out the Liquify.
Uh-oh.
This is nice. I'm gonna have to bring this into a tiny window. Oops. Tell me when you can see this. Can you see the full window?
I can see the full window now.
Right, okay. Because obviously I'm not using my full screen. But one thing I love about this is the fact that in Photoshop you have the face liquify now.
Yeah, I like that a lot too.
It's just, it's weird, but it just works so well.
It's nice because if one little thing is off, like, you notice after you get to the end of the painting that one eye is a little bit asymmetrical or something, kind of like you're doing now, you can make that adjustment, and you could hand paint that same adjustment if you wanted to, or whatever you wanted to do, but use a distortion tool. But this is just faster, and I feel like in the end it's the same result, but if you're saving yourself time, there's nothing wrong with that. As
Well, this is it.
Well, it's like you want to work smarter, not harder. That's what Scrooge McDuck always said, so that's good advice.
Yeah. For me, it's like I can go in and just save myself that bit of time.
Yeah. I like it a lot too. It's especially good for portraits. I would imagine it's probably pretty good for caricatures as well. Kudair is here, says wonderful friend Aaron. Good to see you, Kudair. Thank you. Galaxy Fox says that my drawing looks kind of like an iceberg. I guess it kind of does. As long as it's just floating there with nothing around it. Charmaine pulled out her tablet and she's excited. Awesome. You know, what was the very first tablet that you ever got, Lawrence?
The very first tablet I got was back in about 1993. I have no idea what brand it was, and the drawable area on it was 2 inches by 1.3 inches.
Wow.
I mean, if you imagine how big that isn't even the size of your phone.
Yeah. That's ridiculous. Well, were you really, really excited though, because you didn't have any idea what it would be like to draw on a 27-inch screen? You were just psyched that you could actually draw on a computer?
Yeah, I mean, up until then, the only input we'd had was mouse input.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not even sure back then, in 1993, did we have 2 buttons? Yeah, I think we had 2 buttons, but you didn't even have a roller on your mouse.
Mm-hmm.
The scroll wheel.
Back in my day, you didn't even have a scroll wheel on your mouse.
Back when I was a lad, we didn't have any of that fancy scroll wheeling.
That's how we're going to be.
I mean, and scanners were the hand pull scanners that you used.
Yeah.
You know, that was some crazy rubbish, and they never worked. And you know, the only drawing programs that we had that we could use were either Corel Draw or MS Paint.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't call it Corel Draw, we called it Coral Draw.
You use it to draw coral?
Because, well, we didn't know any better. We were just told it was called Coral Draw.
Yeah.
For years we called it Coral. Nobody corrected us. Nobody told us.
Somebody had a question earlier about what brush I was using. Maria wants to know, what brush am I using to create the mountain? This was a combination of brushes, and these brushes are all available in my custom workspace, which you can get access to by becoming my patron on patreon.com/Aaron Rutten. You can actually find the link to the workspace on my website, aaronrutten.com. Let me just move my palette over here. So the brushes I'm using are the mountain knife, and this is basically a palette. Oops, let me deselect my selection. It's basically a palette knife. Let me move that lower. That makes this nice mountain edge shape. And then I'm going over that with a blender, which is the coarse oily blender, which is also set to use the dab stencil. So it's a modified coarse oily blender. It's actually called coarse oily blender 2, but this is actually my variant of it. I did that to blend a little bit to create that texture, and then now I'm going over it with a brush, also a palette knife called Smooth Dab Knife, which also uses the dab stencil to add a little bit of texture. So it's a combination of brushes. Larry's very first tablet was an Intuos Art.
That was a good, solid tablet.
Yeah. Synthesizer Music wants to know, Lawrence, do you use Photoshop 2017?
Yes, I do.
Mary's here. Hello, Mary. Good to see you. Mary wants to know, what do we think of the Intuos paper tablet?
The paper tablet looks really nice. I do like the texture on that. There's more and more tablets coming up with nice textures as well. You know, there's some really, really good keen ones. But yeah, there's
What looks
really nice texture to it.
what looks exciting about it is that it can store your drawings offline inside of the tablet, so you don't even have to have it connected to the computer. You can actually just take the tablet out, put your favorite paper on top of it, and then draw on it with a special gel pen that comes with the tablet. I believe there's also a ballpoint pen as well. And while you're drawing on the paper, it actually stores within the tablet the digital lines that you're drawing. Then you can plug it into your computer later and download those digital lines and then convert them either to bitmap, which would be like the brush tool when you're drawing in Photoshop, or you can export it as vector, which would be like vector resolution independent graphics like you'd get in Adobe Illustrator or Corel Draw.
I'm going to pay for that later.
And sorry again, everybody. Like I keep kind of coughing, and I know my voice is sounding kind of raspy, but
Haven't heard you really.
getting over the cold.
There you go. That's my painting of Aaron. Or Arun.
The top 3/4 of my head. Joy's here. Hello, Joy. Good to see you.
Hey, Joy.
Keenan wants to know, have I ever used any other tablets aside from Wacom? Yes, I have. The other tablets that I've tried are UC Logic and Huion, and I did try a UG tablet that was kind of a Cintiq imitation. In the past, before I'd really used Wacom tablets, I thought they were fine, but then I think after you try a Wacom tablet, you could see a definite difference. Mainly the issues that I had with them are more related to like build quality and driver issues and things like that. So
I've tried Huion as well. I've tried out the UC Logic ones. To be honest, I have also tried the Dell Canvas. I do have one here in the house. As far as I know, I'm the only YouTuber with one. There will be a review of that coming out this week, but I'll talk about that later. So if you do want to know more about that, subscribe to my channel. And that's right there. Obviously, I've tried out a lot of other things like the Wacom Mobile Studio, the Surface devices like the Surface Studio and the Surface Pro, Surface Book, etc. And I've got a load of videos on that. But for just basic drawing tablets, I've been using Wacom since the mid-90s. These people have been making drawing tablets for decades and decades and decades. That's all they do. That's all they pretty much ever done. There are a lot of other companies out there who profess to make drawing tablets, but a lot of them base their technology on Wacom technology. A lot of other companies that have styluses actually use Wacom technology. If Wacom didn't exist, a lot of these other companies wouldn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
You know, would the Apple Pencil exist without Wacom, even though it's independently created? Well, it's a question you have to ask. You know, the Surface range doesn't use Wacom technology, but at one point it did. You know, a lot of stylus technology owes its background to Wacom. So what I'm trying to say is they are the kings of the stylus. They are the kings of drawing tablets. Whether you like that or not, you have to agree that they've played a huge part in the industry. And yeah, okay, they've stumbled on a few drivers here and there, but the devices are pretty amazing, you know, and they are professional devices. And I think that's one reason so many industry professionals choose to use Wacom and defend Wacom so vigorously. I'm not one of those people who will just stick to a company and only using one company. I'm one of these guys who just uses the best device. I used Apple for years and years and years. Probably the past 15 years I've spent using Apple. And now I'm moving over to Windows. So, you know, it's one of those things. But I think, yeah, I think there are a lot of more contenders now, more than ever, for the tablet market. And I think that's a really great thing that I'm seeing. But I think Wacom are gonna show us some new things very soon, hopefully this year, and we'll see whether they stay on top of the market. And I think they might well do.
I wonder, like where these companies can really go, because to me it's just going to be like, well, my screen is 8K and my screen's 16K. Okay, well, we're going to make a 32K screen, and it's just like at some point,
your processor won't be able to handle that.
Well, yeah, I mean, it'll have to grow with computer technology, but the point is, there's only so much you can do to the point to where you're just throwing out gimmicks, and the gimmicks get people to buy the thing because it's like, well, this does this and other things don't do that, and that's fine, but like, what do you really use on a daily basis, and what do you really need? I mean, really, you just need pen pressure, and you don't even necessarily need a screen. The screen is nice, but there's plenty of people who make really awesome art on just a regular, Intuos 4 or something like that. So everything else at that point is either a convenience or a luxury, or some feature that maybe you enjoy, one of those fringe features. But I wonder, like the tablets are just going to keep getting bigger and bigger, and they're going to be more and more detailed, but the detail is going to exceed a human's ability to perceive that added detail.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think it's one of those things where you only get to a point of diminishing returns.
Yeah.
But I also think it's one of those areas where we haven't seen a giant progression since the last 4 years in things like processors and memory. This MacBook that I'm using here is like 2012 MacBook Pro, and I'm looking at this, and it's a 16 gig i7, and I'm looking at more modern machines out there now, and they're 16 gig Core i7s, and I'm thinking, where's the bigger, better machines? But this is the problem. Right, I need something to draw. Who's going to give me something to draw? Larry had a question. What software do us guys use? Well, we're both Corel Painter Masters, elites as well, might add. Woo. So obviously we both use Painter, and we both use Photoshop as well. We both use a couple other tools here and there. I use something called Sketchable, which is a Windows-based app which I like to use on my tablets, like my Surface Book. There's a couple of things that I like to use, but realistically, it just depends on on the device that I'm using. But for my professional work, for my commissions, I like to go between Painter and Photoshop, and I'll do that on each painting. So I might start a painting in Photoshop and then move it over to Painter, and then back again. It just depends on what I'm painting. If I'm painting something more technical, then I tend to do the bulk of the work in Photoshop. If I'm doing something more organic, I'll do the bulk of the work in Painter. Depends on the look and feel that I'm going for. You know, each piece of software has different abilities. So, you know.
Yeah, it's the right tool for the right job is
Yeah, exactly.
kind of my philosophy. You know, there's Swiss Army knives out there, and you can get a Swiss Army knife, and yeah, it'll have a screwdriver and a leather punch and a little thing to scale fish. But are you really going to try to scale a fish with a a Swiss Army knife? Probably not. So I know everybody wants there to be just one piece of software, but realistically, you need to be able to use multiple pieces to be able to get a range of effects. Gone all quiet on me, Lawrence.
Sorry, I'm just reading comments here.
Oh, okay. it's getting worried.
Some weird suggestions. Biddle Knickers has a very weird suggestion. Keenan's asking us to draw Marvel characters. Joy said that she'd been experienced color changes while making strokes in Painter, and she asked how did she fix that?
I would need more specifics as to what you mean by color changes.
Yeah. I imagine that's something that's like a particular brush that she's using.
Could be any number of things.
But yeah.
Trying to think of if there's one thing that. Yeah, we'd need to know, like, does it happen with all brushes? Does it happen with specific brushes? Because there's color. Well, I'm not. Yeah, I'll wait till I get more information. Otherwise, I'll just like end up rattling off 100 different things.
Oh, I should just go around in circles. Exactly.
No, I can't stop thinking about that question. That's why,
So it was a bad question, wasn't it?
Well, it's
I didn't mean it was a bad question. I mean it's one of those.
Yeah. It's as a person who makes help videos for Corel Painter, it's like something compels me to want to try to answer questions.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of what to put in here. Maybe I need some pine trees. It's got to be a bit darker though. Move that up a bit. Lawrence Mann would like us to know that we shouldn't be making breathing sounds, and he's very disappointed that he has to listen to us breathe. So if you could... Enon would like us to stop breathing because we're making breathing sounds. So can you stop breathing? And I'm going to hold my breath too for the rest of the live stream.
Okay.
I'm just going to put the microphone in my mouth just for you, Enon.
Welcome to the Darth Vader Dark Side Special.
I would say if you don't like breathing, you might as well just leave our live stream right now, because I'm pretty sure we're going to be breathing through the whole thing, so...
It's kind of our thing. This is our bag.
People wonder, like, why did I turn off comments on my YouTube channel? It's because people, like, leave stupid-ass comments like that, like, hey, man, why are you breathing? Like, that's what people do. People have to breathe. What's the point in leaving that comment on a video and complaining that somebody's breathing? Jeez.
Part of me hates comments like that, and then part of me just thinks, I'm going to answer that comment.
Yeah, but after a while, it's like you're gonna lose the energy to wanna have a wisecrack reply. Like after it happens multiple times a day, every day, you'll get really sick of it, and it'll make you start to question why you even have a YouTube channel if it's just I mean, most of the comments I get, the vast majority of the comments I get are positive, but you know, I don't like that it's a haven for people to be able to say whatever they want anonymously, because people don't do that in real life.
Oh, believe me, I already think that there should be some kind of basic thing to have a YouTube, account. It's like, in order to leave questions, you must have uploaded at least 5 videos or something.
Yeah, but that wouldn't. I think
I know it doesn't make sense.
I think it's more of
It's not logical. It doesn't work.
I think it's more of an accountability thing. Like, yes, there's freedom of speech, but if you walked into a restaurant or a place of business and you started talking trash to the customers or to the owners, they'd kick you out, and they'd have every right to do that. And I have every right to block people, and I can do that. But I don't want to have to do that multiple times a day. And I want to keep my comments clean for people who like to leave nice comments. Like I say it time and time again, but there's people who watch my videos that are like my parents' age or my grandparents' age who aren't as desensitized to trash talk as we are because we grew up with the internet. And so out of respect for those people, I feel like if my channel, in becoming more and more popular and getting more subscribers, is attracting more and more of that attention, it seems like it just makes sense to just not have comments, because really, if anybody wants to comment, they can still do that on Twitter or on Facebook. There's a number of places you can comment if that's what you really want to do, and people will do that. And I found that none of the trolls want to take the time to go to my Twitter page and leave a comment there. They just don't bother. So
yeah.
And Mary's right. Some people are just ignorant, but I could pay somebody to moderate my comments and all that, but then it's like, if I'm not even reading my own comments, what's the point of them being on? And so
Yeah.
You know, yeah, in a sense, it's kind of a protest thing, but it's also just it's practical. When it comes down to it, if I don't feel like making videos, then I'm not going to make videos. And so I want my attitude about having a YouTube channel to be positive, and I want to feel like what I'm doing is it's having a positive impact, but at the same time, it's not going to negatively affect me. That doesn't need to be a necessary side of being a YouTuber or somebody who puts themselves out there.
Do you ever miss the comments though?
I miss I I don't know if I miss the comments. I miss I don't know how to phrase it. I wish that I could have comments on so that people could comment, but I know at the same time it's just going to keep getting worse and worse. So I don't know if I miss comments. I miss interacting with people, and I do all the time think about, well, I could just turn them back on and I'll just deal with it. But then I start to think about how every day I'd wake up and I'd look at the comments in an effort to stay engaged with my fans, and it was 50% engaging with people and the other 50% cleaning up comments. So
Yeah.
it's just one of those things where you have to experience it yourself to really understand it. And what I notice is a lot of the popular channels out there, they
Yeah,
will
go through the same garbage.
they do, and they'll either just ignore most of their comments and just let them be up, which I
When
don't.
I hear popular YouTubers talk, though, a lot of them just go, "Oh, I don't even look at my comments," or
Yeah,
they'll say things like, "Oh, so many of my fans will like rush to my aid, and they'll chase away the, you
yeah,
know."
but that's not
I'm like, really?
that that isn't a responsibility that other people should have to do for you. You shouldn't, like, if you're gonna have comments on and you don't want nasty comments, you should clean them up yourself. Otherwise, I just think there's no point in having them on. And I could approve moderators, but then it's like, I guess if people wanted to do it for free, that's fine. But that just seems like it's my responsibility. It's my channel, and so I could pay somebody to do that. But again, then that's not really me interacting with my fans, and that's kind of the point of comments. Diana says, if I didn't make videos, who would help us all? I miss you answering questions that I wish I had thought of. I know. And that's the bummer about it is, I hate to say that like one bad apple ruins the bunch, but it's really not just one bad apple. It's many, many bad apples. And I think, not to get political about it, but we're kind of, at least here in America, in a situation where it's government approved to be able to say whatever you want to people and treat people like scum. And so I just feel like if it's already, YouTube comments are already bad and people are already emboldened to say what they want and treat people like trash, it's only going to get worse over the next few years. So that's another aspect of it too.
You West Coasters.
Yeah. Well, you'll see, man. The fascism is spreading across the globe, so you got to watch out. It could happen to you too.
Yeah, man, we got Brexit.
Yeah. Ivan wants to know, what do we think about vector graphics?
I use vectors all the time. I mean, now and again I'll do a commission which is vector based, but I tend not to put those in my portfolio or anything. But in my digital paintings, I will do vectors. Basically, if I need a design on a character, say for example, if I was doing a sword design that I wanted to be really intricate and I wanted it perfect and I wanted it crisp and it was a symmetrical pattern, I might be tempted to nip into a vector-based program, do it all in that, and then import it into Painter or um, and use it that way rather than hand draw it. That way I know my lines are crisp, and perfect that way.
Yeah, I'll agree. It's good for precision in that regard. I just find it to be kind of. It depends on what I'm doing. If I'm making icons or like something that's not really hand drawn, where I'm going to have a bunch of shapes and like circles and building a logo and things like that, I'll use vector. However, if it's going to be something that's more hand drawn, it just makes more sense to hand draw it, even if in the end I end up vectorizing it. If it's, like line art or comic book art or a cartoon or something like that, I'll do it in vector a lot of the time. So I like them. I like vector and bitmap both, but I tend to prefer bitmap art.
It's horses for courses, though. Just like anything else, If you're a designer and you're doing logos and stuff, then you have to do it in vector. But if you're a digital painter, then you're doing stuff like this. I tried out the brushes and things like that in vector tools, and they're not good enough. Not yet.
Yeah, and there's you get more randomness with bitmap art, whereas vector is usually pretty precise about the kind of brush stroke that you get. And I know there are some brushes that are kind of stamp-like, kind of similar to like the Photoshop brushes, but yeah, I think
they're not there yet, though.
No, it's not the kind of look that I'm going for. So
I'm trying to make this guy different from the Hugh Jackman Wolverine. I don't know if you even guessed that's what I was doing, but
yeah, I like
Did
Wolverine. He started out he started out and I thought it was going to be Hugh Jackman. I don't know why. I don't know that it necessarily looked like him, but I think Hugh Jackman just kind of taken over Wolverine.
I just saw the Logan film.
Yeah.
I wasn't that impressed.
I don't even know much about it.
Everyone was telling me, oh, how awesome it was. And I was just like, huh. And then I saw it and I was like, yeah.
I think I watched the Wolverine one where he's existing all throughout different time periods. And for me, I actually read comic books, and I know comic books go off on a lot of different timelines, but that was just so far from like what I was comfortable with in terms of Wolverine that I just turned it off after like the first few minutes of it and was like, pfft.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how it is with most superhero movies, because I grew up reading comic books, and I kind of set in my ways of this is how things are, and that's kind of how you get as a comic book person. You know that a certain character has certain powers, or has a certain story, and in knowing that, it makes you feel like you're really like a comic book guy, and then all of a sudden some dude comes along and starts changing stuff around to make his movie different, and you're like, hey, what are you doing? You're corrupting and changing my familiar universe into something else.
And that director always turns around and says, oh, I'm a comic guy. And you're like, no, you're not. If you were, you wouldn't do that. Nah, I'm the same. I'm the same. But I mean, I grew up with kind of 90s comic books.
Yeah.
And the only time I was comfortable with Hugh Jackman as Wolverine was kind of like X-Men 1 and 2. X-Men 2 being the best one.
Yeah, a couple of the X-Men were all right, but I mean, what it is to me is it's an entertaining like action movie, that's loosely based on something that I like, but still I watch him and I'm like, nope. Actually, why is Psylocke a rogue mutant who's actually for some reason one of the pseudo four horsemen for Apocalypse, when in fact,
oh yeah, that made no sense.
Like sure, Archangel was, because in the comic he was, but Psylocke was
because that's how he got the purple suit. But
yeah, So then you can see the comic book nerds in us coming out now.
Yeah. Yeah. And the whole Dyson vacuum cleaner, the fact that the Sentinels look like Dyson vacuum cleaners.
Yeah. It ain't
They were
right.
useless. Yeah. It was just the most awful film ever.
Just so everybody knows, I know we got off to a little bit of a late start, but I can only go until noon today, so that's in 45 minutes. Just in case anybody wants to super chat in and get another request in.
Yeah, super chat us. Super chat.
I'm still working on Charmaine's painting here.
Come on, super chat. You know you wanna.
This is gonna keep saying super chat for the whole thing. Super chat.
Super chat.
I know.
Give us some money and we'll draw anything you want. Super chat.
Well, I mean that's how it is to be a professional artist. You gotta
pimp yourself out.
You do. No one's ever gonna give you anything if you don't ask for it. But it's at the same time it's totally understandable if for all the multitudes of reasons why people can't super chat or don't want to. I understand.
Yeah.
We're always
if you don't
gonna
love us, fine.
Yeah, fine. No, we're always gonna draw stuff and make videos and all that stuff. So, but think about it. We'd just be like televangelists, like get some bad fake plants in the background and
praise us now. Give us your money.
I need that money. I'm dying if I don't get that money.
Super chatter.
I mean, look, this is reason enough to super chat. I made myself some cereal and then I got so distracted trying to do stuff that it all got mushy. Give me $1.
Give this man $1 for cereal. Make it $2 because we're splitting the super chat money. And I need cereal too. Aaron, have you ever drawn fairy art?
One time after I got my hair cut at the barber, I asked if I could have some of the hair leave-ins on the floor, and I scooped them up into a bucket, and then I mixed it with some glue, and I did a whole Renaissance-style painting. It was about 60 by 40, and what was nice is there was an even mix of body hair and like head hair, so I got like all kinds of different colors. It was a nice kind of monochromatic palette because, like hair doesn't really extend beyond the red to yellow range in the hue. So it would have been nice if I had gone to like a punk rock hair salon where I could have gotten some blues and purples, but yeah, I thought it turned out pretty good.
You know what fairy art is, right?
That is what furry art is, right? You go to the barber shop and you get hair off the floor and you make paintings out of it. That's not what it is?
That's not what furry art is.
Oh, well, just forget that I said any of that then.
Okay. Moving on. I would love to see Aaron doing fairy art. I think that's a super chat right there.
Well, then you don't need to buy any.
Luke says that there's nothing worse than mushy Fruit Loops. I agree completely. We don't have Fruit Loops as such. We have I forget what they're called, but that's why I eat for cereal. And yeah, sometimes I let them go mushy too, and that's awful.
Well, this is it's like shredded wheat, but it has berry in the middle. Ooh, a crunchy one.
You found a crunchy one.
A crunchy one.
A crunchy one. Larry asks, what do we think of Critter?
I don't like the name Critter. Let's start with that. Get a different name. What's a Critter? I mean, maybe it's like something in a different language, and I'm completely ignorant to that, but I don't know what a Critter is. Diana says we're killing her. Well, we got to be funny. I mean, with it takes us 40 minutes just to start the live stream because we're fumbling around, and then it takes us another 40 minutes to figure out what to draw and beg for money, and then finally by the end of it we do 10 minutes of painting. We got to try to be humorous along the way. Believe me, I watch these later and I'm like, oh man, that's painful. I start to watch the beginning and I'm like, come on, dude. I fast forward on myself all the time. I'm like, come on, get to the drawing. Keenan's right. I think I've pretty well covered what I think about Krita in a technical standpoint. It's probably the best of all the free open source art applications. I'll say that. And I'll leave it at that. Yeah, okay, I'm going to do some snow on this tree here. I didn't mean to choose that color, and then I saw it, and then I'm like, all right. Little happy accident there. Shoot, we'll just put in a little bit of snow on these trees here. And then we'll clean the brush. We'll just beat the devil out of it. I just flicked paint all over Lawrence. Still there? I'm not hearing your audio now. You might have to do whatever it is that you did before to reset it.
Yo, what about now?
There we go. It's weird, like, yeah, between the two of us, it seems like it's just randomly disabling our audio.
Strange. My road podcast has disappeared.
Huh.
Thanks, Google Hangout.
Although now I see that.
What about now?
Yeah, I can still hear you.
Right. Well, is my audio better now?
Yes, it's better.
Or about the same?
No, it's very good now.
Good. That is weird. Okay. Don't know what happened there.
I should start naming my layers. So I'm just going through, like, what are these? Normally I name my layers all the time, but I'm trying to work a little bit quicker here, so I'm not naming layers. Plus, this is, I don't have a goal here for this painting. I'm just kind of just doing it. Composing
Yeah,
as
I'm
I
the
paint.
same. I'm not. I normally work a bit better on layers.
I noticed I made the background trees green, and at the time that made sense, but since I did the foreground pines with snow, then I need to make the background ones blue. So I'm just going to change the color. Shoot, we'll just shift that hue. Go on, hue, get over there. I have to deselect my old selection there. Happy little selection.
Stop rossing it.
There we go. Just like that. Keenan says, bye everyone. Aaron, by the way, your Corel Painter for Beginners video is very helpful and fun. Thank you. I tried to make that one a fun one. Thanks for watching, Keenan, and I'll see you for the next live stream.
See you later, Keenan.
I like this better now that I took out that green. It's more monochromatic now. It feels cooler. Joy says all brushes do it. She must have been testing her brushes. All brushes change the color. It's possible that perhaps maybe you turned on color variability or color expression. you could also check to make sure that you're not using a different color profile. Although I doubt you would have changed your color profile. I don't know.
No,
It's
no, that's something you'd have to knowingly do.
well, you could open something like a template or something that might have been in,
Um, you could
like,
go into your preferences and just reset.
yeah. I start a stroke with one color and then it changes by the end. Does it change to white? Or does it change to does it change to the same color every time? Is it a specific color?
Is this in a rainbow or? It's a very strange problem to have.
Well, it could be a number of things. We'll try to get to the bottom of it.
Yeah.
David.
Thanks, David.
Yeah, thank you,
David
David.
says we're both his gods.
Just gonna group these layers together, clean things up a bit. You can't see me doing it because it's off screen, but take my word for it. I'm cleaning up my layers.
I'm taking your word for it.
I'll create some additional planes here by putting some little bushes in the foreground. Might need to make that shadow side a bit darker too. This brush that I'm using is a custom image hose nozzle. And it makes these little fan dabs, which works really well for a wide range of trees and bushes and stuff.
If you're watching me, I'm just copying Aaron really quickly to see how quickly I can just make a very, very quick copy of Aaron's painting. Not trying to be exact, I just want to make a really, really quick copy.
Can he do it? That's just because I paint really slow. If I wasn't talking the whole time, I'd probably be done by now.
This is actually a proper technique that that painters do, is go and copy real masters' work.
Oh, I'm a master.
You're the master.
I do all right. I feel like today I'm a bit slow because I didn't get much sleep. Oh, Diana, thank you.
Ooh, thank you.
$6 super chat. She says, thank you for the laughs and awesome art today. It made me smile, and sometimes you really need that. Never stop. Thanks again. Thank you, Diana. I appreciate that.
And we will never stop. No matter how much people tell us our breathing sucks.
Yeah. Mary wants to know, what is the $6 chat something new? It is the super chat. Super chat.
Yes.
It's a relatively new thing. Down in the bottom of the chat where you're typing in your chat, there's that little icon with a dollar sign. What that lets you
It's
do
right
is,
underneath your profile picture there, where it says your name and it says say something. There's a little dollar icon.
yeah, depending on how much you donate, it pins your comment to the top of this or to the top of the chat, and then makes it colorful, as R-rated reviews said. So I think it's something along the formula of like, if you pledge or if you super chat $5, then it stays up for like 5 minutes. If you super chat like $100, it stays up for like an hour or something. And I think it goes up until like 5 hours or something ridiculous like that.
But you will be in our hearts forever.
Yeah, so no need to super chat $100 today because we've only got another half hour for this. But yeah, feel free to try it if anybody wants to.
Yep.
We're doing it today in the context of super chat to request a drawing. So that way, you get something out of it. It's not just us begging for money here on YouTube.
Well, but we do promise to be back and do more.
Yeah. Diana's really nice, though. She's had a lot of nice comments on my work, and we've emailed each other a little bit, and she bought one of my digital art shirts, which is really nice.
That's good.
Let's see, what else do we want to do to this? I gotta put in some trunks for my pine trees. Shoot, let's put in some trunks here. Those old trees are gonna fall over if we don't put a little trunk down the middle.
See, man, I've almost caught up with you.
Have you? I think you're missing some fundamental details there, though.
Really?
Otherwise, I just wasted my time. If I'm gonna, come on, you gotta do, you gotta do more than that. It's hard to do without the brushes. That's the thing. Like, if
I'm an impressionist today.
yeah, an impressionist painting of an impressionist painting.
Yeah.
Diana loves her shirt. Thank you, Diana. Maria's here. What's up, Maria?
Hi, Maria.
R-rated reviews wants to know if we have any advice on illustrating a kid's book. Well, if your kid's book is about R-rated reviews, my advice is don't make it. Just kidding. Well, Lawrence is probably more of
I've done kids' books before. I mean, obviously, it depends. Story comes first, obviously, and tone. But if you're happy with the story you got and you got a good story, you'll be fine. Simple is always best. Don't try and make your image overly complex. Kids just want to focus on the simple things. You'd be amazed at how much kids love the simple image. And the best thing I'd say is find a book that's similar to that you're thinking of in terms of story, and go and watch kids reading books. If you're doing a book that's for 2-year-olds, go and have a look at books that are for 2-year-olds. Go and have a look at similar books. Watch 2-year-olds reading books. Find out which books are their favorite and find out why. because the ideas that you have in your heads about kids' books and the reality of kids' books can be vastly different. Kids are amazingly savvy. And I know people say that all the time, but I mean, I don't know if you've got kids, but yeah, these they're yeah, they know what they want from day one, and they know it better than parents, to be honest.
Oh, Mary did a $5 super chat. Thank you, Mary. Much appreciated.
Thank you, Mary.
And just so you know, Lawrence and I are splitting all the super chats today, and you're welcome to request something for us to draw, if you'd like. Otherwise, we're happy to keep on doing what we're doing.
Mary says, "Please stop copying Aaron."
Kosa wants to know, what do you draw when you don't know what to draw?
Oh, you kidding? I have a backlog of things I want to draw.
Well,
typically, I draw things for my YouTube channel. You know, so there are always things I can draw. You know, always things that I know people are going to search for that are popular. But that can be kind of soul destroying because you don't really want to draw things just because they're searchable. That's, feels a bit unfun.
Yeah.
But
it's the only way to get 1 million subscribers on YouTube as an artist, though, I think, is to draw pretty much entirely fan art, because that seems to be what I've noticed. Is it doesn't matter how talented you are, if you're not drawing like mostly fan art, it's really hard to get that many subscribers, because the really successful artists out there that I see have hundreds of thousands of subscribers if they do their own kind of stuff. But as soon as you start drawing, Chun-Li and Zelda and all this stuff, I think that's when you start getting up into the million range.
Yeah, but I don't want to be Jazza. Sorry, is that the worst impression ever?
No, I agree. Like that's not my goal as an artist, but it's just kind of, I don't know.
But that's the thing. I don't want to be that person who just draws whatever is the most popular thing.
Yeah. And
I know that's what I should be doing if my goal is to be the guy with that many hits.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
I started the YouTube channel because I'm passionate about helping people discover and get better at digital painting. And it was to put out videos that I wish I would have had when I very first started digital painting. So my goal is always going to be education. There will be some entertainment, but yeah, it's like, do I want 1 million? Not that I necessarily could get 1 million subscribers. I'm not in any way saying that would ever happen, but that's kind of what you want. Is you want a big audience, exactly. but at the same time, it's like you want, realistically, from a practical business standpoint, from a career standpoint, if you want something that's going to last for a long time, I think you're better off drawing your own work, because in the end, everything that you've produced, you can say that this is your ideas, versus, you draw too much of other people's stuff. I don't know that ever really gives you an identity. What are people going to say about you? You draw fan art. There's nothing wrong with that, but for me as an artist, for my own personal vision of what I want to be, I'd rather be recognized for my own ideas. And even if I only get 100,000 subscribers and that's it, that's fine, because 100,000 of those people are subscribed to me because they're interested in my ideas, not because they like Zelda,
Yeah, exactly.
So I see all these...
And just because they've clicked on you and subscribed to you because they like Zelda doesn't mean they're ever coming back either. The subscriber doesn't necessarily mean they're ever coming back.
It doesn't mean they're going to buy your courses. It doesn't mean they're going to super chat. It doesn't mean anything. And so... Yeah, and subscribers are not an indication of success or talent, Subscribers are just it's just a number. It's like anything else. So it's hard to not obsess over it, but at the same time, you got to kind of check yourself and go, okay, like what I have is, you're your own unique person, and a lot of people
Snowflake.
want to compare themselves to other artists, and I think that's kind of a natural thing to do, but you just got to be yourself and do your own thing. At least that's what I...
It's funny, I started my YouTube channel primarily because I wanted to, two reasons. One, Carell asked me to make a video about myself. So that was a kind of starting point, and I was already thinking about a YouTube video. And two, because I saw it as a good way to promote myself as a freelance artist. So I was thinking of it as being, a promotional tool for myself as a freelancer. So I never wanted to paint other people's characters, because as a freelancer, I don't agree with doing that, because you want to show off your own imagination, not other people's. If you're a freelancer, you don't paint, you don't do fan art. If you're a freelancer, you paint characters from your own imagination. Because a serious freelancer doesn't get jobs if they just paint fan art. Because amateurs paint fan art, freelancers paint,
Well, there's a lot of professionals who paint fan art, though.
There are, but it's a grey area. I would say that's a very grey area. It's a grey area that I don't like. But
yeah, well, I don't mean to sound like I'm like knocking it or anything. I mean, again, everyone has their own vision of themselves, but yeah, I mean, Lawrence and I guess are kind of on the same page about that.
you've got very dynamic blue going on down here. It's very nice.
Yeah, some of it's kind of accidental. Again, this is me painting on like hardly any sleep for the past few days, so the fact that I can even do this is pretty amazing.
Remember, guys, I've only just come along in like 5 minutes and just gone, I'm copying Aaron.
Yeah. No, now you're in my boat. Usually have something nice that you start with, and I'm like, duh, I don't know what to draw, and then just pull something out of my butt. So it's like, it's kind of flip-flopped.
Yeah, a lot of the time I'll come along and I've got like a sketch already worked up, and I like doing that, because what I don't like is coming along and you guys just seeing me starting with a blank canvas. I hate showing a blank canvas.
Yeah, I like that you start with something and then I usually start with nothing, because then people get to see variety.
Yeah.
But also at the same time, like,
I like that.
That's just, I don't mind showing who I am as an artist, and even if it is a flaw that I don't know what I'm going to paint till the last minute, a lot of people have that issue too. So I think in some ways it's encouraging for people to see that I start out not knowing what I'm going to do, and then I come up with something, or I find a way to generate an idea, even if it is asking the audience for an idea. That's how you can get ideas for drawing. You can ask your friends, or you can ask the public. We got a $5 super chat from R-Rated Reviews. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate that.
I see it.
R-Rated or Rated R would like to know, or would like one of us to draw a sci-fi robot looking at a flower.
I'm just waiting for this spinning wheel of death to stop spinning. And I will. I'm getting worried about that spinning wheel of death now. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. You're still good.
Okay.
Oh, spinning wheel.
Can you see it on my screen?
Yeah. There it goes.
It's very
Woo!
small, but it's there.
Go, wheel, go.
Spinning wheel. Spinning wheel.
DeBoss just discovered my channel and subscribed. Thank you very much. And while you're at it, subscribe to Lawrence.
DeBoss discover my channel?
That's what I was just getting at. You got to check out Lawrence.
I can't type that into the comments, unfortunately. It won't let me, will it?
Probably not because it's a link, but there's. I don't know if I did a card this time because I had to redo everything. Let me see here.
There we go. I pressed escape and it let me do it. There we go.
Okay, I got you on the link there.
Ooh, there we go. Aaron's put a link to my channel in the comments. Cheers, Aaron.
Let's see. I'll do some pines in the foreground here too. Use my same brush there. I don't know if Joy ever responded with more information on that issue she was having. My guess would be it could be well, because not all brushes use bleed because it could be a brush that uses bleed and then it's fading to white if it's on a layer. Could be color variability, but that shouldn't be. That should be on per brush. It shouldn't be on globally. So my thought is if it's happening to all brushes, since most color changes and properties like that are per brush, they don't apply globally. It's probably a color profile, even though that's a weird problem to have. Corel Painter isn't color managed, so what you pick on the color wheel could be completely different than what you're drawing. But then she said it's turning from one color to another, so that wouldn't be the case. It would have to be.
I thought that's what made it odd as well.
Yeah, like that would have to be color expression or color variability. Or if it's turning to white, then it would be bleed is turned on. But again, bleed should be per brush. It shouldn't be. So I don't know. I wish I could be more help, but it's one of those things where you kind of have to see the problem, or you really have to get a lot more information on it. Bibblenicker says, how does one draw feet?
Feet?
How do you draw feet?
Typically with good photo reference.
I think you got to look at a lot of feet, probably. You might even have to smell some feet to really like put yourself in the frame of mind of a foot.
Really authentic.
You have to imagine yourself as a foot. You have to be a foot here and right here in your heart. And then, and only then, will you truly understand how to draw feet. The boss says it depends on your style. I've drawn a lot of damn feet. I tell you what. I know some of you've seen my life.
You're always going to have to be able to outline the foot. It's always that kind of boxy.
R-Rated wants to know if we have any thoughts on Sketchbook Pro.
I don't mind it. It's okay. It's got all the basic tools in. You know, it's one of those packages that you can use on the go. I would never use it for serious art, but you could use it for, you know, for just using on your tablet.
Some people do use it as their main application.
Yeah.
It's a bit too light for me. I actually have a video that is comparing Sketchbook to a lot of other applications. If you want to check that out, I go through all of the different features that I feel are important to my particular painting style, and I compare all the features, Sketchbook Pro, and a bunch of the other popular paid applications, and then I pick which ones I like the best. So I actually rank them. Sketchbook Pro is somewhere, I think,
In the middle.
It's in the middle, but towards the end. It's just kind of it's kind of light. Like it's kind of I feel like if I was working on a tablet or something, like an iPad, because I mean even with like a Cintiq or a Cintiq Companion or a Mobile Studio, you can still run Corel Painter. So I don't know.
that's basically like I was saying. It's a tablet app, isn't it?
Yeah. It's a tablet app, but you can use it on the desktop, and it does have desktop features. It just, I don't. If I'm working on a tablet, that's fine. But
I think that's the way more tablet apps are going, though. I think more tablet apps are kind of going with more desktop kind of features now.
yeah, well, it's because the tablets can actually keep up with that. Some of them can, processor-wise.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember when I had the iPad 2, you could scarcely run anything on it because, I mean, even
I think that's just iPads in general.
yeah,
though.
I guess even so, it's probably still like that because they use basically mobile phone processors that are not very fast.
It's the operating systems though on iPads. But that's my problem with the iPad Pro. Is that even the operating system is just so basic. I can't stick Corel Painter on there. I can't stick Photoshop on there. And for me, if they put a proper OS on there, then it's like gravy, brilliant.
Yeah,
But until they do that, yeah.
you're gonna get some people going, Astropad.
AstroPad doesn't make it a proper operating system. AstroPad just turns it into a Wacom.
Yeah, but then they'll argue and say that it's, I don't know. That's just my experience. Anytime I've knocked Apple, then they're like, well, you can make an Astropad out of it. But then it's like, well, yeah, but then you're not really. You're kind of connected to your desktop in that sense, and it's no longer mobile, and that's kind of the point of you getting the iPad, right? Is so that you can take it out and. Joy says it changes to a rainbow of colors, so color variability is on.
Is it actually a rainbow though? Is it that order of colors? Sorry, I know I'm being really specific with my questions, but
I'm gonna move my window over here so you can see. I don't know if you'll be able to see this very well. I have color variability here, and you can find that under Window and Brush Control Panels, and then down towards the bottom is color variability. And if I turn that on, it should only stay on for this brush. And if I paint with this brush, you can see I'm getting rainbow colors each time. I'm not changing my color. That's because
couldn't see it over there.
The hue is turned all the way up on color variability. So.
There we go. Yeah.
But it shouldn't stay like that because even though I have it turned on with this brush, if I switch to a different brush like the sponge, you can see it resets. So it's odd that it's on for all the brushes. So I don't know. I mean, it could be that you're using some of my brushes from my workspace, and in that case, those particular brushes use a variety of colors, but there aren't really any that do rainbow colors. There's just some that change it a little bit. So I don't know. Hopefully that's getting you closer to solving the problem.
My one thought was, is it all the brushes, or are you just unlucky enough to just be changing to every rainbow brush in there when you try to find it.
Yeah.
You try to
There,
flick through between.
you could
That
try
would be
to,
awful.
if you go to the brushes menu and then choose restore all default variants, that's going to reset all of the brushes to their default settings. So obviously, if you customize some brushes, you'd lose those customizations if they're just the default brushes.
Yeah,
But
I would.
that should remove color variability from all of the brushes that shouldn't have it by default.
I'd say leave that to last. There.
Yeah, I mean it's just going to reset the brushes to the default. So if you created a custom brush, it'll just reset that to whatever you saved it as. So it's not like it's going to really destroy anything, but you know, that's something to check. That would be my guess there. So we got about 5 minutes left, so I'm not going to add any more to this piece. I'm going to call this a good. I'm going to dedicate this piece to everybody who super chatted today, because I know I just ended up doing one drawing and Lawrence did many. But hopefully you all enjoyed seeing that. And thank you again to everybody who super chatted and to everybody who regular chatted and for everybody who watched this today as well. My bottle looks weird because it's got Ninja Turtles on it and the Ninja Turtles are getting green screened out.
I wondered what that was.
Yeah. It's all fancy now.
Are you still loving the green screen?
Yeah, it was a little tricky to get set up, and it's not the world's best key because I'm using my Logitech webcam for the one that's pointed at my face. So
Have you seen the new Logitech's camera?
that's like the I don't know if it's the same one, but it looked like it was basically the same thing.
It's got Windows Hello built into it.
Oh, okay. Does it mean it has RealSense or something?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
You'd never have to type in a password again.
Oh. Oh, so
I've got Windows Hello on
oh,
my Surface
oh,
devices.
so it just recognizes your face and then goes, okay, that's you.
Yeah.
But then the government can watch you all the time, and people can hack into your camera and all kinds of stuff too. You got to worry about that.
Yeah, but if you believe all that dark web stuff, then they can already do that.
Yeah, they can, but I don't know. I wouldn't like when I'm done with my webcam. I remove it so it's not pointed at me. It just bothers me. Just even if it's not on, just having it there and having a camera pointed at me when I'm not recording.
Well, you've got a Logitech, so you can get one of those little privacy covers for it anyway.
That's true. I just take it and just move it off of because it's perched on my Cintiq and I can't leave it up there anyways because I fold my Cintiq down when I'm done with it.
I just take it and destroy it with a hammer after every session anyway.
Just get a new one. Just email Logitech and be like, hey, I'd like to review one of your webcams.
Yeah. I'm famous, so they send me a new one every time anyway. Because they know how much of a nut job I am.
Making art out of barber hair and whatnot.
Like Casey Neistat always gets like a new GoPro.
Yeah, I got the Hero 5 session. I haven't really been able to use it for very much other than like reviewing it and testing it out. But as soon as the weather gets nicer, I'm going to be doing some 4K outdoor painting videos. And since I got this Elgato video capture card, I can use this same setup here where my camcorder's behind me, but I can do that outside and do live streams outside of my studio, like out in the woods or something if I wanted to. And it'll be really, really high quality. It's kind of hard to tell how high quality this video is just because it's pointed at my screen. But if you wanted like a technical idea of what that is, it's 10 times more detailed than my Logitech webcam. So it's quite a big difference.
I have not been able to put down the little Sony action cam that I've got.
Do they have mounts
That
for
thing.
it? Like you can mount it to your chest and your head and all that stuff?
I had like a really, really naff GoPro knockoff.
Mm-hmm.
That was pretty rubbish. Um, but I had mounts for that anyway.
Yeah.
Um, and the Sony Action Cam came with some. So now I've got like an absolute load of mounts. So
Because it
yeah,
looks kind of long, so I wonder how that would be mounted to your head or your chest.
I've got this kind of bag clip. Well, I forget what it's called, but I've got a clip that allows me to put it onto my bag strap for my rucksack,
Uh-huh.
and it works really well because the tripod mount on it is kind of near the back,
Mm-hmm.
so it works really, really well. Because I was worried about that as well, but I'll show you it next time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of interesting to see like where you can go with your videos, because there's the standard screen capture thing, and everybody does that. And then there's a lot of people now who are doing the camera pointed at the tablet, and that's the way to do it. But I've had fun with just doing like different green screen stuff, like where I green screened Corel Painter on top of my cats, and then like drew like dragon wings on my cat and stuff like that. And I feel like I haven't really seen anybody do that, and there's a lot of room to just create your own creative shots and to be a digital artist on YouTube, but not do everything the exact same way as it's being done. And things like the GoPro and Action Cam and all that stuff and different technology that comes out, it opens a lot of doors creatively for how you can share your work with people.
It does, but it's the more work you can create as well.
Yeah.
And you might think, well, what does reviewing stuff like this have to do with art? But it allows having stuff like this allows us to create more art, and you know,
Yeah. I'm not going to do any review because I could do reviews about every single thing I have in my house. Like I considered maybe doing one for the Galaxy S7 smartphone that I have. But how much do people who watch my channel who are into art really care about that? Like, yes, you could make art on it, but you could make art on any smartphone. So there's no real advantage to using that particular model. So
Yeah.
I decided not to do that. But the GoPro, it makes sense because the whole video was basically footage that I had used from actually using the GoPro to paint outside. So I could say, here's the GoPro and here's a review of it, but it's not just like your standard review from a photographer or some guy riding a dirt bike. This is an artist recording his painting process in a very specific way to do digital plein air painting, and I think that's something that's not represented on YouTube.
No, exactly.
So then there's value in that. Whereas if I just make reviews about everything I have in my room, I'm gonna
No, well,
start.
this is what I'm saying. It's about how it affects the artist,
Yeah,
how it affects people who watch your channel, and how how our viewers would be interested.
yeah,
And I think, oops, I think there's plenty of our viewers out there who do ask questions about the equipment we use, all the time.
yeah. Putting in some falling snow here.
So you do that just as I do a couple of petals.
I know I said I wasn't going to add any more, but that's okay. I wanted to give you a chance to do your flower there. Put some motion blur on this.
I'm going to grab this, do some
Brr, it's cold. Got some rust there on your robot.
Yeah.
So if anybody has any more comments or questions, feel free to chat in. We'll probably start wrapping this up here in a minute. I got to go teach an art lesson.
Ooh. Where's you teaching art? Is this at local Y?
One of my students, I don't know if I really want to say who specifically by name, but
You don't have to give us too many specifics.
he's a retired cartoonist from the Seattle area who did a lot of work in the 80s drawing stuff, or I guess 80s and 90s drawing stuff, you know, the old-fashioned way with pens, and then they'd, I suppose, scan it or whatever, and then have a colorist color it. But he's been trying to learn over the past few years. He's actually been my student for, I want to say 3 or 4 years now. He wants to learn how to do it digitally, and of course, you know, he's been working with me because I know all about drawing and painting in Corel Painter, and I can answer, like, you know, just about any question if he gets stuck. So he has me come over, you know, every once in a while, and kind of he'll have a whole list of questions about how to do a particular, how to achieve a particular effect in his painting, or how to, you know, fix a bug or something. So but he's actually going to start, he said he was going to start publishing again some of his work online. So it's really pretty cool because I've gotten to see a lot of stuff that people wouldn't ever get to see that he's done. So and he's even sent me some, like, he makes like a Christmas card every year, and so I get to see that. But it's really cool because, you know, he's very, very well known for doing things traditionally, and then it's nice to see somebody like, because I teach a lot of people, but it's normally people who aren't professionals. So to see somebody who is using what I teach them in a professional capacity is really nice. You know, it's not necessarily just a hobby, and it's nice to see somebody, you know, realize their dream and know that you helped them do that. Because if it wasn't for me, I don't know if he would have found anybody else who would teach him something like that. So it's nice, and it's cool for me to be able to hang out with him too, and just kind of see what, you know, it's something to look up to, you know, and see, like, if you work really hard, you can be really successful as an artist. And it's nice to have somebody, you know, I talk with Lawrence about Corel Painter stuff too, but there aren't a whole lot of people here in Seattle who I can talk to about digital painting and not feel like I'm boring them.
Yeah, they're basically, where I live, it's, you know, they're a load of troglodytes. There's nobody around here I can talk to.
Yeah, and, you know, that's kind of how it is. Digital art isn't necessarily like a really early popular thing. I mean, it is and it isn't, but not. It's not like you're gonna, you know, 1 out of every 3 people you know.
I was hoping to go down to SXSW.
Yeah, is that in California too?
No, I was in Texas.
Oh, in Texas.
Yeah, next week. Austin looks kind of cool to go to. You know, there's a lot going on there. There's a lot of tech stuff, some film stuff, and, you know,
a lot of stripping people of their rights and making abortions illegal and discriminating against Mexicans and scapegoating immigrants.
I wasn't going to get political.
Yeah,
I wasn't going to get political.
Texas is a great place. No offense to any liberal Texans, but yeah, Texas is a pretty. I would not want to live in Texas. If I moved out of Seattle, it would be like going back 10 years in time, pretty much.
I was purely talking about the creative community. I was not talking about any
Don't even get me started on Texas.
No.
To be fair, I lived in Oklahoma for a while, so I know what it's like firsthand to live in a.
With those sideburns, I would never have guessed.
Actually, when I ended up moving back there at a few different points in my life, but one of them, at one of those points, I was 16 or 17, and I believe it or not, I had like bright colored, you know, dyed hair, In the school that I enrolled in to get my GED, they sat me down, me and my girlfriend, because she had wacky hair too, and they were like, this is going to be distracting to all the other students, so could you maybe just like bleach your hair and just have it, not like a weird distracting color? And they were kind of nice about it, but it was like, really, like, I can't have a different hair color than other people because it's going to make them uncomfortable. Like, I don't see why that should matter. So it's just interesting to live in Seattle and then to go to a place like that, because everyone treats you like you're from the future, kind of, like they haven't heard of music that you've heard of, or, like, it's interesting.
Mary says, woohoo, Texas, but I don't know if that's sarcasm.
Yeah. I don't have a problem with Texans. I'm not saying anything about Texans in general. I don't want to offend anybody. It's just it seems like a lot of the policies and politics they put forth are very geared towards...
this is one thing that a lot of people from outside America don't notice about America straight off the bat, that it's more like a group of individual countries.
Yeah.
When you look at America from the outside, you see it as one unified country.
Mm-hmm.
It's only when you start to look really closely that you realize, actually, this is more like a lot of small countries grouped together.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's even more so now because it's a pretty divided country. Seattle and California and Oregon are all pretty in line about being progressive, and so it's nice that little cluster, and then a lot of the East Coast is pretty progressive too. But like here we have legal recreational marijuana. We have we have anti-discrimination laws where you can't discriminate against people for being different than you. We have campaign finance reform where now you can't donate financially to campaigns or politicians. They have democracy vouchers, which they send you in the mail, and then everybody gets like $100 worth of democracy vouchers, which aren't worth money. They're not money, but you use it to then fund whoever you want to contribute to. So that means that
democracy vouchers. I love that.
Well, but then the citizens of the state get to choose politicians, whereas before it was like pharmaceutical industry and all of these other corporations. They're not people, they're corporations. So they like to say, all these corporations put in, millions of dollars or whatever to buy politicians, and it doesn't get us anywhere. So it's a nice thing. We also have a socialist on our city council. I know a lot of people think socialism is bad, but a lot of things you use on a daily basis, like the library and things like that, are socialist programs. So even though people want to make that a bad word, it's really not. We have Pramila Jayapal, who's now a senator. She's very progressive, fights for women's rights. Our attorney general sued Donald Trump and got the first Muslim ban nullified. Who knows if that'll happen on the next one? So we're doing stuff. And like actually making progress. But then at the same time, we have a horrible like disparity between rich and poor in Seattle. Seattle's one of the harshest tax-wise on low-income people and one of the kindest to people with high income. There's severe housing problems. There's pretty bad homelessness problem here. So it's interesting how Seattle tries to be really, really progressive, but then at the same time, like, kind of just doesn't do it 100% on everything. So we're not perfect by any means, but I definitely feel proud to live in Seattle, given the way that a lot of other states are treating people.
It's funny, when I was over there the other week, though, I was so close to you that it's a shame that I didn't have like another week to be there.
Yeah.
Because if I'd have had that chance to be there for another week, I'd have just nipped down to see you.
Yeah, nipped up.
That would have been awesome.
Yeah. Well,
do you know what I mean? Imagine if we'd have been able to say, "Hey, let's make videos together for a week or something."
Yeah. Oh, it'll happen, I'm sure. You'll get to come here, or I'll get to go there.
We just need to, like, either get people to super chat us enough money to do that, or
We'll make it a Patreon goal.
yeah, or get Carell maybe to fund it. I
Give me
think that could
$10,000, Carell, so I can go
No, no,
make
no, no,
videos with
no.
Lawrence.
Honestly, it because you know Dell just paid for me to go out there, and that wasn't that expensive.
Dude, you're getting a Dell.
You're getting Dell. I got a Dell.
I miss that guy. He was amusing. Mary says Massachusetts is very progressive. Yes, indeedy do it is. I think the East Coast and the West Coast, that's where it's going on. It's the middle is kind of the middle's not doing so good there. But it's
I'm just hearing everybody with a plaid shirt, basically.
yeah. Hey, I got a plaid shirt. What are you saying? All right. Well, we're just over 2 hours now, and I gotta start getting ready for my lesson since we're at 12:15. So looks like Lawrence has already switched over to his face there. Thanks everybody for watching. If you haven't subscribed already to both my channel and Lawrence's channel, definitely do so, because that is the best way to get a notification the next time that we're live streaming. That's Lawrence Can Draw is his channel there. You can type that into the internet and it'll get you all kinds of stuff about him.
I am on every social media network. Come and find me if you're on Facebook, Twitter, etc. But obviously, I am on YouTube. I will be throwing up a load of videos very, very shortly. I have just got a boatload of editing to do, really, on a lot of different subjects.
Yeah.
I have been filming an entire vlog over the past week or so, and yeah, I'm just crazy editing that at the moment.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for watching, and thanks Lawrence for hanging out and drawing with me again.
Thank you, Aaron.
All right, everybody. We will see y'all next time. Have a great evening or morning or afternoon, wherever you're at.
Have fun, guys, and we'll see you on the next live stream.